Previously on The Devil on G-String. I'm not really sure if she's fine with me. The biggest question would be, who would be the best possible partner for Shiratori to spend her life with? We'll probably never know the answer to that. All the more reason for me to take responsibility. And now, 3 years later...
何考えてたか当ててみせようか?
I was suddenly pulled back into reality.
初めての時でしょ?
You start to resemble Tokita.
そう?
Her roundabout way of saying things, her gestures. You really are sisters, huh?
姉さんに似てるって言われると嬉しいわ。ああ、水葉？何？姉さん。
She glanced at her sister. Yuki was staring off into the sky with a tranquil expression.
父親と話をしてあげて。お父さん？私の？そう。寂しいでしょ？会話のない親子なんて。
That was unexpected. Mizuha knows that Yuki is far from fond of her father. She would frequently speak ill of him, her eyes blazing with some terrifying emotion. Those eyes were now meekly staring into the blue sky, still fixed there.
一応、私の実の父でもあるしね。
Mizuha decided not to think too hard on it. This was her brilliant older sister, after all. It'd be best to just obediently comply with her.
わかったよ、姉さん。今日の昼にもね、浅井くんに同じようなこと言われたよ。
There was no word from Yuki. Mizuha called many times, but she never heard as much as a ring. She just kept waiting for her sister. Unfortunately, she didn't even know where to wait. She stood idly on the school roof, or in front of her house's gate, rubbing the cold and anxiety from her shoulders for hours on end.
好きな人にはどんな感情をぶつけても許されるって思ってたの。
Mizuha didn't have a single person to talk to until Tokita returned to her.
舞い上がってたのよ。浅井くんが優しいから何をしても嫌われないって思ってたの。まるで物の扱いと同じじゃない？あなたが対等な人間であることを忘れていたんだわ。
There was a time I tried to treat her like an object, too. I'm so glad I changed my mind that day 3 years ago.
よく今まで我慢できたわね。
Put up with you?
私と一緒にいてくれたじゃない。
Don't be silly. I'm with you because I want to be with you. Tears welled up in Mizuha's eyes.
私にお父さんを責めることはできないの。なぜなら私だって姉さんを苦しめていたのだから。わかるでしょ？家を出て行った姉さんが爪に火を灯すような毎日を過ごしていたのに、私はぬくぬくと可愛いぬいぐるみを集めていたの。姉さんの深い悩みを知ろうともせずに自分ばかり助けてもらっていたのよ。あなたはとても目立った悪人だけど、私に言わせればか弱い少女に甘んじていた私の方がよっぽど立ちが悪いわ。あなたに罪があるのなら私だって糾弾されるべきなのよ。昔まだ心を閉ざしていた彼の部屋にお邪魔したことがある。彼が踏みとどまらなければ私は犯されていたと思う。それぐらい足りない女の子だった。彼と姉さんの深い優しさに包まれていなければ生きていけない。大した取り柄もない私はただ守られていた。人は一人では生きていけないと言うけれど、一人で生きようともしなければ。そんな当たり前のことを私はようやく学んだわ。
Such a huge wall of text, my god.
結婚するって。
Her sister asked. I will, she thought. Mizuha couldn't imagine anyone forgiving her weakness other than that kind, strong man. Just as she opened her mouth to answer, her sister said,
答えなくても顔に書いてあるわね。叶わないな、姉さんには。おめでとう。彼によろしく。
Her sister was about to leave again. Mizuha forced a smile.
ありがとう、姉さん。ありがとう。
Will she ever return? Mizuha had no idea.
ごめんね、水田。私からも。
The snow piles up. Her sister's silhouette blurs into the distance. Mizuha's heart comes to a decision. If her sister ever returns, she'll drag her out under the winter sky to make another snowman that suits you.
そう？
Yeah. It's been a while since I've seen you wear something so frilly.
たまにはいいじゃない。
Well, normally you're only supposed to wear that once in your lifetime.
二度と着ることにならないよう、お互い努力しましょう。
Yeah. Together. Mizuha isn't alone anymore. She's not the little girl sitting in the corner of the classroom anymore.
そろそろ開幕ね。
Her hand and mine stiffened a little.
ねえ、京介くん。
What?
雪だるまは好き？
Not really.
好きって言ってよ。
Okay. I like them.
なら、今度作るときは、あなたも混ぜてあげる。
Oh, great. You're planning to make me do all the work, aren't you?
あら、どうしてバレたの？
Looks like I still haven't disciplined you enough yet.
やれるものならやってみてよ。
Alright. Close your eyes. And so it continues. Greetings, my name's Neosekken, and welcome back to my Let's Play of The Devil on G-String. So, we got Shiratori's good ending, so now it's about time we do the exact opposite before we move on to Tokita's route. And if memory serves, this right here, this selection is the earliest series of choices I can make that would influence her route. So, I'm gonna choose nah, couldn't be. And we're just gonna steadily go on our merry way from here and see what happens. Now, let's see her tomorrow. Shiratori's back slips into the crowd, eventually fading away. I guess I'll go home now. Okay, and now for the big decision. Time to be the biggest asshole within a 5-mile radius. I am not looking forward to this. At all. After all, why not? Weakness is inherently evil. It's her fault for coming to a guy's room at this hour. There's nothing wrong with using a toy as I please. Sit on the floor. I command Shiratori, and she obeys like the dog she is. She timidly kneels down in front of me, then averts her gaze, and blushes as if she doesn't know what to do.
えーっと。
I gaze down at her, then begin to fantasize about how I intend to use her for my pleasure. My sadistic heart begins to wildly pump its sin through my veins. Her pale skin and red lips urge my fingers toward my belt. Her entire face blushes crimson as she looks away. However, despite her attempts at feigned innocence, her eyes are restlessly seeking out curiosity what her subtle fear had robbed from her vision. I forcefully yank down my pants and underwear, unleashing the bulge which had hitherto caused such tightness. Shiratori jumped a bit when she saw it.
Blowjobs! You are welcome!
Zai Gonzo would approve of the path I took. After violating Shiratori, the twisted abyss I once called my heart only grew deeper and darker. She had turned out to be a completely worthless woman. I never once treated her well. So, what exactly happened? Details are unimportant. One need only imagine the fate of a flower completely deprived of life-giving water. She had been no more than a frail, flawed flower from the very beginning. It only took her 6 months to wither away completely. Excuse me. Sorry about that. My dog was barking. Had to go calm her down. Hey. Another flower now bloomed by my side. This one was a beautiful, strong cactus of a woman. She won't die so easily. In fact, her needles may just skewer me if I grow too careless. Tokita? After it ended, as had become my habit, I lit up a cigarette. Yeah.
So.
Her voice was hollow. I was surprised when I realized it was your first time, though. Devilman? I knew what she was trying to do. There hadn't been an ounce of pleasure in her voice during our intercourse just now. Far from it. Her arms wrapped around my neck were just waiting for their chance. You were an idiot, Tokita. Smoke drifted around the room, diffusing into the tense air. The naked woman behind me didn't say a word. I could feel an almost painful glare boring into my back. You shouldn't have encouraged Shiratori. That's the only reason things turned out the way they did. If you just never transferred to our school, she would have lived a peaceful life. So why are you sleeping with him? So, to help ease that regret, you thought you'd hide the pain of giving yourself to a guy you never wanted inside you. Oh. Understandable, but not very smart. Is that it? The usually talkative Tokita kept silent, allowing the thickening malice in our cheap hotel room to speak for her. Well, I know better. You were waiting for a chance to kill me, weren't you? That's why you offered to have this little fuckfest. Too bad I never gave you much of a chance, huh? I gave her an earnest proposal. I won't tell you to forget what happened, but stick with me. If you feel like you're even the slightest bit at fault, then stand behind me and enjoy the show. Watch as the object of your sister's fleeting love sprints down the path to hell. The smell of burning tobacco permeates the dry air. After a moment of silence, the room is suddenly bathed in darkness. Tokiya had turned off the light. I hear her jumping out of the bed behind me. Tokiya lunges at me. Something in her hand dazzles, reflecting what bit of light is streaming through the window. A battle cry, a desperate scream, rends the darkness of the hotel room in two. She thrusts her arm from my chest. However, before the tip of her hungry knife can be coated in fresh blood, I pull out my gun and squeeze the trigger. The foolish whore drops her knife. I look down at Tokiya, collapsed to the floor and coughing up blood. Tough luck. The rest is silence. I feel nothing. I reach my hand to the doorknob, ready to leave this bloodbath behind me, when I hear something banging around in the darkness. I turn around, only to find myself face to face with a demonic woman, gripping a knife that should have fallen far from her corpse, rushing me from a distance I have no hope of escaping. I don't know, I personally consider this to be a very good ending. The Devilman gets his just desserts. So I've gone back a few saves and checked multiple different choices, and unless I'm missing something that will lead me to something else involving Shiratori, I think then right now I'm going with the assumption that that very short sex scene and the bad end I got right afterward was pretty much all there really is to Shiratori's bad route. And I gotta say, that's compared to the last two characters, it's kind of a major letdown. Feels like it's kind of an like it was put on as an afterthought in comparison. Because at least with the last two characters, there was more to it than just a short sex scene and then a short ending scene right afterwards. Again, I don't know if I'm just missing something or not, but well, regardless. If I am, I'm sure somebody will tell me what I'm doing wrong and what I need to do in order to get something different Shiratori. So until then, if that actually happens, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and proceed on with the main story for now and see where things take me. In less than an hour, a group of young Sonoyama recruits had gathered at the school.
いやー、坊ちゃんも自分らをこき使ってくれますね。
I'm very sorry.
いやいや、坊ちゃんのためなら、たとえ火の中、水の中。
I couldn't get through to Gonzo. I had to call Haribi instead. And as for hell, that's what'll be coming to my way later.
たった今、囲みが終わったようですよ。自分らも借金の追い込みで家を囲んだりしますけど、学園ってのは初めてです。
He flashes his demonic smile again. I'm sure that not even an ant could get out of the school grounds now.
で、あれなんですよね。例によって桜田組には分からんようにしたいと。
Right. Try not to stand out.
分かりやしたよ。誰か通りかかったら、ちょっと黙っててもらうことにしますわ。
In the case that someone actually does pass by, they won't want to get involved with Yakuza. Thank you for everything. I owe you one.
いいんすよ。借りはお金で返してもらえればね。
You said there's an awful lot of text for what little is spoken here. The translator is at their weird hijinks again. This is going to be expensive. Even with hostages being held in a school, these people aren't about to work for free, have some sense of justice.
じゃあ、あとは好きに使ってください。てめえは仕事がありますんで。
Ruby leaves with an unpleasant smile, driving away in a Mercedes Benz.
おいおい、京介、これどういうこと？
One of Papa's acquaintances. A bad person.
ちょっとお前を見直したわ。
You would know all about that, wouldn't you? I'm not a transformer. I was literally just thinking that. Mind reader. Get the hell out of my fucking mind, Kyosuke. I don't want you there. And mum's the word about all this, alright?
わかってるよ。東京湾に沈められたくないし。
Although I will say, you would be infinitely cooler if you were a transformer. It seems Hashimoto still hasn't called.
ただいま戻りました。
Usami had left the school grounds earlier. Oh yeah, you said you were going to get tools or something. What did you bring?
先日、秋葉の電気屋で手に入れたんですけど。
She produces a little radio-like device as she speaks to me. Walkie-talkie?
これは携帯電話に取り付けることでハンズフリーで双方向会話ができるという代物です。
What is it exactly that you install on a cell phone that allows for two-way communication? I mean, like, doesn't a cell phone already do that? And can a walkie-talkie also do that without having to be attached to something? Oh yeah, I've seen people use things in those things in meetings and like. Maybe it's some kind of mic or something that attaches to a cell phone and activates when you call it or something. I don't know. Maybe something like that.
それを私の携帯につけようっていうの？
Tokida's voice held doubt.
私も犯人の声を聞きたくて。なるほどね。
Yeah, it's gotta be a mic.
もちろん交渉はユキに任せる。私は何も喋らないから。そう。
Tokida doesn't seem fully convinced.
ユキは昔言ってたじゃないか。交渉事はチームで行うのが普通だって。ニューヨーク市警なんかではそうね。必要なのは交渉役と補佐役と記録係と、あとなんだっけ？指揮官と雑用係よ。でも補佐指南役は大きな文書でも派遣してもらえないことがあるわ。だったらここにちょうど4人いるじゃないか。
I don't think Eiichi should be anywhere near the negotiating table. Just my 2 cents. Things could end very badly if we do that. Tokiya put her finger to her brow as if trying to collect her thoughts.
気が散るかなと思ったのよ。でも、わかったわ。
What are the different roles?
そのままよ。交渉役は実際の交渉にあたる。記録係は状況の記録を残す。指揮官は決定を下す。
So the primary doesn't make decisions, and the chief doesn't talk to the criminal?
そうやって客観性を持たせるの。例えば、交渉が進んでいくうちに、交渉役が犯人に感情移入しすぎて、つい相手に有利な条件を飲んでしまうことがあるの。
Understandable. But you're saying that things like that won't happen if someone else is in charge of making decisions, right?
さらに、指揮官と交渉役を分ければ、戦術が一つ増えるのよ。この前もそう。西条っていう人と仲良くなるために、私はあなたを悪者にしたのよ。
How could I forget? It's more than a month late, but I finally understand what she was doing. You mean that's what the whole I want to help you, but the big bad wolf Kyosuke won't let me. I'm so sad, Saijo-san, what should I do? Was all about?
勝手に利用してごめんなさいね。
It's okay. I understand. I think you could have said that in a much more concise way, personally. But again, that's probably what the translator decided to go with. Now, how should we divide the roles? I look around at everyone's faces. With Tokita as the primary, obviously. It looks like I'd make the best chief negotiator.
ええ。あなたは冷静だわ。いつも利害で動いているような人だもの。
She talks like she knows me, but the woman's right.
具体的には、例えば、犯人がタバコを要求してきたとしましょうか。
Okay.
そういう時、私は必ずあなたに一度確認を取るわ。あなたは自分の判断で私に決定を下して。
But if I said you couldn't, you might oppose my decision, right?
そうね。お互い喧嘩にならないようにしたいものね。
The very nature of teamwork and coordination makes friction like that inevitable. Alright, Usami's the secondary negotiator.
仰せつかりました。
できればメモを用意して。私と犯人の会話の流れを記録に残しておいてほしいの。文章を読めば、いくらか冷静に状況を把握することができるわ。
分かってたけど、僕って雑用なのね。
オチみたいになってるけど、重要な役割よ。例えば、犯人が夜食に弁当を要求してきたら、あなたが買いに行くのよ。
That's right, you get to feed the perp.
うん。それは分かってるけど。
そのお弁当が温まってなかったら、犯人の機嫌が損なわれると思わない？
Okay, just get him something microwavable. Easy.
分かりました。
Heishi's face tensed up. Alright, let's get ready to rock and roll. I attached a little spy microphone to Tokita's cell. Usami pulled a notepad out of her pocket and readied a pen.
あとは、待つだけね。
Indeed. All that's left is to wait for Hashimoto to call us. A good while passed before Tokita's cell broke dead silence. Tokita Yuki had held an interest in criminal negotiations from a young age. Yuki's mother had been a famous artist. At the request of community service organizations and certain members of organized crime rings, she had often visited prisons as a special guest. The young Yuki, who always waited patiently for her mother outside those tall cement walls, began to hold an interest in the people forced to live on the other side. When she finally built up the courage to ask her mother about the prisoners there, Yuki's heart raced in excitement. Adults, the very people who say we shouldn't do bad things, were doing bad things. She wanted to know how the minds of these criminals worked. Why would someone kill someone else? Why would they steal? What drove that person so far away from normalcy? I want to speak with a criminal. The child's innocent, yet unbridled interest troubled her mother. The girl had even tried to sneak into the prison of her once. The more she was told she couldn't, the more her interest waxed into a fervor. Because inside those walls lurked a darkness that a child would not be allowed to enter. Even so, Yuki managed to contact a criminal. A letter addressed to her mother came from a prisoner that she had once visited, and you interjected yourself. Yuki begged her mother to read it to her, but her mother, with the good sense that comes with parenthood, would never let her lay an eye on it. However, while the brilliant little girl was not allowed to read the letter, she memorized the prisoner's name on the envelope. After some time passed, and the prisoner was released on parole, Yuki made up an excuse to visit the parole office. Oh my god, you directly met with them. You sent a letter to my mother once, a long time ago. Her wish was fulfilled, and she finally met with the ex-convict. By then, her mother had passed away, and Yuki was living in an orphanage. In a place full of people who had closed and hardened their hearts, Yuki still managed to stay full of energy. She actively talked to people, trying to understand their thoughts and their feelings. It may have been a child's way of coping with a father who abandoned her and a mother who died. It may have been an attempt to come to understand herself by understanding children in the same situation as she was. She wasn't afraid to meet those people whom society had branded as felons. She had heard much about them from her mother. But more importantly, to the desperately lonely Yuki, there was nothing left to lose. She met with them once or twice a month. They were mostly kind-hearted people. She believed that it was some mistake of the laws that led to their imprisonment. Some of them even treated her like she was their own daughter. Yuki evaded the strict, unforgiving eyes of the orphanage staff and enjoyed dialogue after dialogue with men who had erred. Yuki would later find out that these beloved conversations she occasionally snuck out to hold bore some similarities to hostage negotiation and counter-terrorist training programs. It's said that profiling, the painting of a psychological portrait of a criminal, is a skill that cannot be learned through study of theory. There's no form or methodology for reading others' minds, and the most one could glean from a field manual was supposedly no more useful than a compilation of tips and tricks. Practice makes perfect, as they say, and actual experience is vital to success. In testament to this, government negotiations training programs require the cadet to conduct personal interviews with criminals in controlled environments, such as prison. In theory, this provides a surrogate experience that aids in the negotiator's first few encounters. However, while these criminals had opened up to the eager girl Yuki, they occasionally admitted to lying to the officers who visited them for official business. Through these experiences, Yuki subconsciously absorbed the patterns among criminals who committed crimes with deep-rooted motives and passions. When she thinks back objectively, Yuki realizes she was a strange child. Understatement. While her friends read young girls' comics, she immersed herself in criminal psychology books. But the more she read, the more she understood that the patterns she experienced firsthand agreed with the words of renowned scholars. The girl, entrenched in her studies, eventually grew into a mature, somewhat far-sighted woman. These days, Yuki analyzes herself as such. A petty girl, unable to trust people without properly analyzing them, merely because she was abandoned by her father. Still, even that petty girl had things she refused to give up, things she wanted to protect. Yuki took a deep breath, shaking off the negativity within her. The negotiations were about to begin. First, she should decide her goal as a negotiator. It's important to have an objective while talking to people. Yuki chose a gentle tone of voice, so as not to meaninglessly irritate the culprit.
また連絡してきてくれて嬉しいわ。
時田、何の真似だ。
Hashimoto's voice angrily rampaged from
警
Usami's
察に
equipment.
連絡するなと言っただろ。
落ち着いてほしいわ、橋本くん。
ああ、
警察じゃないわ。よく見て、橋本くん。パトカーのランプでも見える？
He sucked in a breath and held it.
じゃあなんだって言うんだ。
彼らは京介くんのお友達よ。
浅井の？
そう。やけに柄が悪いでしょ。警察とはある意味対極にいる人たちだから、まずは落ち着いてほしいわ。
てめえ、学園を囲みやがったな。
否定はしないわ。
ふざけんなよこのアマー。どういう状況か分かってるんだろ。おめえの腹違いの妹をぶっ殺されたいのか。
His voice was downright crooked. Though I'm in the same class as Hashimoto, I haven't talked to him much. I can't believe a guy my age would take a few hostages and set up shop in a school. It's just too surreal. If only you knew about your other half. People talk about increasing rates of juvenile delinquency all the time, but even seeing it with my own eyes doesn't shake the notion that all this is just happening behind some television screen. What drove Hashimoto this far?
親父が刑事だかなんだか知らねえが、あまり俺を怒らせるなよ。試しに隣の部屋でビービーうるせえ線香を窓から突き落としてやろうか。
そうね。あなたには今それだけの力があるわ。ただ橋本くん、のりこ先生を殺すのがあなたの目的ではないと思うのだけれど。
それはそうだが、見せしめってのは大事だろ。
Tokita closed her eyes in thought for a moment.
橋本くんを見くびっていたことは認めるわ。橋本くんはせいぜい黒板に落書きするくらいのことしかできない人だと思ってたの。
そうかよ。今さら反省しても遅いぞ。
まったくだわ。まさか夜中に学園に忍び込んで水葉とのりこ先生を人質に取って立てこもるなんて誰が想像できたかしら。
As she speaks, a sense of superiority builds in Hashimoto's voice.
お前は心理学を勉強してたって？笑えるな。
好きなだけ笑ってちょうだい。実際私も少しかじった程度の素人なのだから。
And she adds, sighing.
あなたは学園でなじったことは謝るわ。
She did corner Hashimoto in the hallway.
そうやってご機嫌を取ろうとしたって無駄だぞ。
分かっているわ。あなたはスポーツも得意だけれど成績も優秀みたいだし、そんな人が計算もなしに無茶を犯すはずがないもの。
He laughs. No, scoffs at her words.
いいだろう時田、乗せられてやる。俺の目的を知りたいんだろ。
教えてもらえるとすごく嬉しいわ。
Hashimoto declares his sole objective with an air of composure.
金だ。
Even Tokita was taken aback.
250と5万。それに慰謝料の300万を足して白鳥理事長に払ってもらおうか。
255万。
What a very specific amount. I wonder why it has to be just that.
バカだろ。理事長が着服した金だよ。5万はゴルフの優待券だったかな。
His objective was money? No, there's more to it than that.
差し出がましいかもしれないけれど、それがあなたの本当の望みなの？
おいおい、まだ俺を見くびってるみたいだな。
というと？
理事長は腐った野郎だよ。俺の親父を警察に売っててめえだけは助かろうとしやがった。 本来なら警察に出頭させたいところだ。
てっきりそういう要求かと思っていたわ。
でも俺の親父もそうだが、まず実刑なんてありえないんだよ。警察に引き渡したところで執行猶予だのとくだらねえことになる。
Hashimoto has a point. It's common for cases involving bribery to result in suspended sentences. It's safe to say what Hashimoto really wants to see here, the director getting thrown in prison, won't be happening.
なるほど。だから警察には関わってほしくないのね。
俺にだって将来があるのさ。
あなたはバスケットボールの名プレイヤーだものね。
のりこ先生には悪いことをしたと思っている。本来は白鳥だけを人質にする計画だった。
だったらなぜ？
白鳥を校門の前でさらって学園の中に入った時、偶然廊下で出くわしたものでな。
学園に立てこもったのはなぜ？
お前らが警察を頼るとも思ったからな。その場合当然俺は終わりだが、学園の評判もガタ落ちになると思わないか？
I see. Who would want to enlist in a school which had a hostage crisis? You'd be surprised. Even if he ruined himself, his revenge on this school would be exacted.
私たちが今日学園に来ることはどうして知っていたの？
おとといだったか。お前と浅井が教室でそんな話をしていたのを聞いたんだ。寒空の中待たせてもらったよ。
Tokita sighed.
肝心の水葉はもちろん無事なのよね。
無事じゃないとさすがに取引にならないだろう。
After that, there was a little rummaging and mumbling. It was Shiratori's voice.
水葉、怪我はない？
少し頭がズキズキするくらいで。
おしゃべりはその辺にしてもらおうか。
Hashimoto butted in.
分かっただろう。可愛い妹は無傷だ。もっともこれからのお前の頑張り次第だがな。
私を指名してきたのは水葉の姉だから。
そう、必死になって理事長を説得してくれるんじゃないかと期待している。
なるほど、なかなか考えたわね。ひとまず理事長をこの場に呼んだ方がいいのかしら。
今すぐにだ。
すぐには無理よ。ここから南区の水葉の自宅まで頑張っても1時間はかかるわ。
I think an hour is a bit of an exaggeration.
娘の一大事だぞ。車を飛ばしてこさせろ。
気持ちは私も同じだけれど、昨日今日と結構な雪が降ったでしょ。だからあっちこっちで通行止めになってるみたいなのよ。
クソが。
でもなるべく急いで来るよう掛け合ってみるわ。
30分以内だ。
難しいわ。せめて40分。
I heard Hashimoto click his tongue.
分かった。少しでもこれたら白鳥の顔に傷をつけてやる。
Tokita's expression shifted at the outrageous threat.
ありがとう。急ぐわ。理事長が到着したらまた連絡すればいいのね。
ああ、番号を言う。
Usami quickly jots the number Hashimoto gives into her notepad.
急げよ。もう一度言うが、俺は本気だ。
The call ends. Tokita folds her arms and groans after hanging up the phone.
ひとまず要求を聞くことができた。
But what?
彼は肝も据わっているようだし、頭も切れるわ。
Really? I never thought of Hashimoto as being a ballsy guy.
学園でも結構寡黙な方だよ。
It's always the quiet ones. He keeps saying, "Don't piss me off," and I'm not playing games. Stupid crap like that. He seems pretty spineless to me. Tokia slowly shook her head.
犯人が本当に臆病な場合はね。例えば銃弾の入っていない拳銃を警察に向けたり。でも彼はどう？言葉こそ粗暴犯のように振る舞っているけれど、自分の将来保身を考えて実現可能な範囲の要求を突きつけてきたわ。
That's true. Tokia's eyes narrowed.
ここで抗議をするつもりはないけれど、立てこもり犯のタイプにはいくつかあるの。
What does the textbook say about dealing with that type?
時間をかけて現実を直視した交渉を行うだけよ。犯人側も冷静だから、交渉の過程でお互いに譲歩し合うことで大抵決着がつくわ。
It's kind of abstract.
マニュアルに書いてあることだからね。でもお互いの譲歩はすでにあったでしょ。
Yeah. You offered to retrieve the director in an hour, and he haggled for 30 minutes.
そこで私が40分と言ったところ、彼は受け入れたわ。
I see. If Hashimoto were just another pissed off asshole, he wouldn't have budged. You'd have been stuck with 30 minutes. Eiji suddenly raised his hand.
とりあえず理事長を呼んだ方がよくない？
そうね。その前に栄一くん、初仕事よ。コンビニで携帯電話の即席充電器を買ってきてほしいの。
わかった。
We'd be in deep shit if Tokita's phone died.
本来なら携帯電話なんて使っちゃいけないんだけれどね。
Eiji dashed off immediately. Was he worried about Miss Noriko? He didn't screw around like he usually does.
それじゃあ水葉の自宅に電話するわ。
Do you think you'll be able to persuade him to come out here?
大丈夫だと思うわ。あの人も私に引け目もあるし。
Tokia's typical voice grew touch darker. Usami, do you want to add anything?
いえ、書き留めるのに精一杯でした。
I look at Usami's notepad. Hey there, Lupin. What the hell are you drawing? The paper had nothing but a cartoonish portrait on it.
ルッですけど。
Hey!
3世ですよ、3世。
I don't give a shit if he's the 3rd or the 13th. What the fuck are you doing, Usami?
すみません。危機的状況に陥ると素数を数えながらルップを書きたくなるんです。
I don't even know what to say anymore. Good. You're flabbergasted. This pleases me.
というのは冗談で、一応橋本さんの似顔絵です。
Hashimoto looks like Lupin the Third? Oh. Well, it does somewhat resemble him.
ええ、自分速記ができるわけじゃないんで、これだけの会話を記録しようと思ったら、絵に頼った方が理解しやすいかなと。
Alright, I get you. But I tell you what, you're one hell of a backwards chick.
で、記録係の意見ではないんですがね。
What?
ほら、理科準備室の窓、見てくださいよ。
I followed her suggestion.
懐中電灯の明かりがチラチラしてますよね。
What about it?
いえ、ユキの見立てでは橋本さんは冷静だということですが、落ち着きなく室内をうろついているようにも見えませんか？
Yeah, actually. Do you think something happened? I casually glanced over at Tokita, who was in the middle of informing the director of the crisis.
ええ、状況はお分かりでしょう。
しかし信じられん。
ですからその目で直接お確かめください。犯人の要求を飲むかどうかは
こんなことが 世間に知れたら。
落ち着いてください。犯人も警察の介入は避けようとしています。もっともあなたがここに来ていただけないことには最悪の事態が待っていますが。
Tokia's typically gentle tone was nowhere to be seen. The director had apparently abandoned Tokita and her mother, so I would assume she's somewhat bitter about it. If I were on the phone, I'd probably just shout, "Your daughter's life is in danger, get the fuck out here."
お願いします、お父さん。
I couldn't believe my eyes. Tokia spoke with respect to the father she hates with all her being. This woman just threw away her bountiful pride for the sake of saving her sister's life.
わかった。すぐにそっちに向かう。
After his stifled voice cut off, Tokia's phone rang out to inform us that the call had ended.
ハル、あなたの言うことはもっともだわ。
Tokia returned to her former mood as she spoke.
私も犯人像の特定を急ぎすぎたのかもしれない。
Wait, weren't you supposed to wait until the director arrives to make the call?
あの様子では40分以内に来るとは思えないわ。時間を引き延ばす必要もあるのよ。
Alright. I reluctantly nodded. In any case, you did well to convince the director to come out here. My praise only caused Tokita to miserably stare at her feet.
本当は犯人の要求する人間を連れてきてはいけないものなのよ。犯人の本当の目的が例えば理事長を殺害することだったらどうするの？
Well, should be a surefire way to get to him by doing something like this.
それでも理事長に来てもらうのはね、責任を取ってもらいたいからよ。
I had no room to criticize Tokita.
ごめんなさいよ。私だって人間だし、思うところはあるの。
After biding her time for a moment, Tokita called Hashimoto.
やけに早いな。
いいニュースよ。理事長が今こちらに向かってる。
それはよかった。で、時間通り来れそうにはないから、もう少し待ってほしいのか？
Tokita laughed.
あなたに嘘はつけそうにないわね。
なめるなと言っているんだ。
それは十分承知しているわ。ところで橋本くんは今何をしているの？
何って、お前の妹に睨まれているよ。
水葉は理事長に似てとっても気が小さいの。虚勢を張っているだけだから許してあげてもらえないかしら。
Hashimoto snorts.
そうだな。親のやったことは子供には関係ないからな。俺だってそうさ。親父のせいで部活でも白い目で見られる理不尽な話だとは思わないか？
まったくだわ。ただあなたは学園にとってなくてはならない存在でしょ。
おだてるなよ。潜入してきたばかりのお前は知らんだろうが、この学園はスポーツも盛んでな。バスケだけじゃない。ほら、あのアイスアリーナを見ろよ。浅井カノンみたいなのがなくてはならない存在って言うんだよ。
でも私はあなたもすごい選手だと聞いているわ。
当たり前だろ。それがどうした？
私も背が高いでしょ。バスケ部とバレー部からはしつこく勧誘を受けていてね。それでちょっと興味を持ったのよ。
お前みたいに筋肉のない女には無理だ。
その通りね。試しに前の学園でちょっと入部してみたの。ピッペンっていう選手がモデルのバスケットシューズも買ったのに1週間で履かなくなったわ。
スコッティ・ピッペンか。ありゃいい選手だった。
シカゴブルズの人だっけ？
昔の選手だがな。 巷じゃみんなジョーダンばっかり褒めたたいてたけど、ピッペンがいたからブルズは強かったんだ。
何事もチームワークが大切よね。
Hashimoto laughed loudly in response.
そうだな、今のは一本取られたな。
どうしたの？
チームワークだよ。確かに俺もお前の協力なくしては目的を達成できない。
さすがね。だったらお互いに歩み寄れるはずよ。
お前らが素直に要求を飲めば全て丸く収まる。明日からはまた何事もなかったように学園が始まる。
そう願っているわ。あなたが怖い人たちにボコボコにされるところなんて見たくないもの。
俺だって妹を殺されて悲しみに暮れる時田を見たくはない。
Like Tokita said, Hashimoto really does have a good head on his shoulders. He's constantly grasping for the lead in his conversation with Tokita.
で、我らが理事長はまだなのか。
残念なことにね。
それは困ったな。あまりもたもたしていると近所の人のいいおばちゃんが警察に通報するかもしれない。そうなったら悲しい結末になる。
承知しているわ。私だって一刻も早く理事長には来てもらいたいと思ってる。だから。
She paused for a while and spoke up decisively.
何か欲しいものはある？
怪獣しよってんだな。まあいい。理事長はあっさり解き伏せた手腕は強化しよう。
ありがとう。それでハンバーガーでも食べる？
あいにく腹は空かせてない。ドラマなんかで立てこもり犯がピザと引き換えに人質を解放するところを見るが、実際こうなってみると食欲なんて湧かないもんだ。
Honestly, as unbelievable as it sounds to me, I can believe that there has been hostage situations in the past in the real world that actually happened, where the hostage taker actually releases the hostages for pizza, and that is just beyond hilarious to me. Tickle in my throat.
そう？アメリカでは結構そういう事例もあるけれど。
Turns out American hostage takers love pizza.
わかったよ。あまりに空腹になったらお願いするとしよう。でも今はいらない。代わりにお前の初体験の思い出でも聞かせてもらおうか。
あいにくと私はプライドが高すぎるのか、男性とお付き合いしたことがないの。
本当かね。
He laughs vulgarly. He seems pretty immature when he acts like that.
私を動揺させようとしてわざとそんないやらしいことを言ったのね。
Hashimoto held his breath.
ああ、そうさ。さすがだな。小細工は通じねえか。
What a sly creature.
一度電話を切るぞ。喋り疲れたんでな。差し入れをくれるってんなら飲み物を用意しとけ。スポーツドリンクがいい。お前の妹も喉が渇いたみたいだぜ。
スポーツドリンクね。それじゃまたね。
The area was bathed in silence once more. The flashlight in the lab equipment storage room just turned off.
ですね。橋本さんも落ち着いてきたんでしょうか。
なかなか手こずらせてくれるわね。
お疲れ、ユキ。
ある？飲み物。
あ、はい。コーラでいいっすか？
Usami suddenly transformed into Tokita's Man Friday.
甘口のコーヒー。ついでに橋本くんご所望のスポーツドリンクも。
お金を。
あ、待って。コンビニで紙コップも買ってきて。
紙コップ？
ええ。ペットボトルのドリンクと紙コップを差し入れることで犯人が人質に危害を加える確率が下がるの。
How exactly does that factor in anything? You're up to something, aren't you? What do you mean, Tokita?
聞いたことない？ストックホルム症候群って。
Oh, Stockholm. Sure. The hostages and the captors become friendly with one another at some point, or something like that.
そう。長い緊張状態を共にすることで連帯感が生まれるの。
Yeah. So in this case, Hashimoto says Shiratori is thirsty. If we give him a drink in a paper cup.
そうよ。橋本くんが水張り飲み物をついであげなくてはならないでしょ。それが犯人と人質の連帯感情を高めるの。
I see. Of course, there's a chance that Hashimoto will just ignore Shiratori and drink it himself. But as long as the cup is sitting there, he'll be forced to be reminded of her. Tokita nodded.
ストックホルミングは多くの場合人質交渉を助けてくれるわ。犯人が人質を大切に思えばそれだけ解放の時間も早まる。
とりあえず分かりました。ダッシュで行きます。
Tokita handed Asami some money and ushered off to the nearest store.
それで指揮官の京介くん、犯人にスポーツドリンクを与えていいかしら。
Sure. I can't think of any reason why not. Get him Gatorade!
そう言ってくれると思ったわ。
But, have you seriously never had a boyfriend, Tokita?
あら、私に興味あり？
Is it true?
交渉中は嘘をついてはいけないわ。嘘をついたらそれまで積み上げてきた信頼関係が崩れてしまうもの。
Mutual trust. You gave the same service to Saijo. Is sympathizing with the culprit an important technique?
ネゴシエーターがあくまで強硬な姿勢を貫くと交渉ごとは 20% も合意に達しないの。逆に相手の要求に対して見返りを求めていくような協調体制を確立できれば 80% もの確率で事件が解決するわ。
Is that so? Tokita smiled as if she could tell I was impressed.
私だって FBI の特別な訓練を受けたわけじゃないのよ。でも考えてみてよ。人生って毎日が交渉の連続じゃない？
If you want to put it like that. I nod.
朝起きて何時までに帰ってくるよう言われて学園で先生からあれやこれやと質問されて
You don't run into a life or death situation like this often, but I guess I can grant you that each day is a series of choices and negotiations.
あなたなら接待もするんでしょ？
Yeah. Food and entertainment tend to lubricate contracts and transactions.
だから誰もが交渉人なのよ。私はたまたま犯罪者に興味を持ってしまったからそっち方面を勉強してただけ。
You're an odd woman, Tokita.
だから恋人もできない。
She derides herself, then sends her sharp gaze to the lab equipment storage room as silence envelops the school grounds. Okay. Things are certainly getting interesting, but unfortunately, I gotta cut things off here. So, post-editing, I'm sure this episode is gonna be a little on the short side, but well, blame the sexy times for that. It's gonna be definitely interesting to see what exactly Hashimoto's gonna try to pull once the director shows up, because it's not like he can just charge straight out of the building and try to knife him or something, because there's a whole slew of Yakuza outside. They'd stop him. So I can't help but wonder, does he have like like a rifle or some other gun or something that you can use to shoot from a distance with decent accuracy. Because that's probably something I would do. I would have thought about if I were the instigator in this whole thing. Is if my goal is to drag somebody to a certain location so I can off them myself, I would try to do it from a distance, and then use whatever pre-planned escape route that I've set up in advance to get the hell out of the Dodge. Easier said than done, of course. And with hostage situations, things can change drastically at the drop of a hat, but... Well, considering who's backing Hashimoto, I'm sure he's got some kind of escape plan in mind that's a little out there, but effective if not caught on too quick enough. Either way, I have a feeling things are going to get a lot more interesting very soon. So with all that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this latest episode of The Devil on G-String. If you did and you want to see more content from me, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I will see you all next time. Take care.